Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a must-haves for newborn babies and things that I've found that I genuinely cannot live without, and without these I would have a really hard time. So the first thing is a changing mat. Definitely would recommend a changing mat, because if you have a boy like myself, they have a thing about peeing everywhere. And it's really useful to have a changing mat, because if they pee on the changing mat, you can just clean it up, simple, and wipe it down. Whereas if they're peeing all over your bed or wherever else you're changing them, you're having to constantly change things and change your bed in and things like that, and it's just much more useful to have a changing mat so you can just clean it and wipe it down straight away without having to faff around with anything else. The next thing is sleep suits with mittens built in. I actually didn't know these existed until quite a few weeks ago. So I've always had sleep suits that have had mittens built in, but I never knew about these mittens at all. I wondered why there was a bit of a different thing on their sleeve, but I didn't think anything of it. But honestly, they are so useful because they can't take them off. And it's much better than just getting the gloves. So definitely look on the packets that you get for your sleep suits and things like that, because honestly they're an absolute lifesaver, and it saves you having to constantly put their mittens on every 5 minutes. The next one is monitors. Monitors comes in really handy because if you're not in the same room as your baby, you can just take the monitor with you, so if you hear them cry or anything like that, you can go straight to them. I don't know if anybody else has the same experience as me, but when I'm downstairs doing something, he's upstairs, or if he's downstairs and I'm upstairs, I can't hear him cry that well. So I'd rather have monitors so I can hear him properly, so if he needs me or when he starts to cry, I can go to him straight away. The next one is Infocol. This is something that really helps colic. So if your babies have colic, or even if they just have trouble bringing up wind but they haven't got colic, definitely would recommend getting this. It's been a lifesaver for my little boy. I give it him before each feed because that's when they're meant to have it, and it is so useful. Also, another one I've been using just recently these past few days is gripe water. What I do is I just dip his dummy in the gripe water and give him the dummy, and he's been quite good with it. I mean, he's good at bringing up his wind lately anyway, but I just want to keep having stuff because he is still struggling, and there are still times where I'm feeding him and he's just screaming because he's got that much wind. So definitely Infocol and gripe water, definitely would recommend that you get those just to be on the safe side. Next one is lights. Babies do not like massive rays of light, so really strong beams of light. So I would definitely recommend, especially for the night time, fairy lights or really dim lights in the room. Obviously you can get like baby spotlights and things like that. They are really useful, so do get some if you can, because it saves you in the middle of the night when you're feeding your baby. It saves you having to turn on the bright light and disturb them, because you can see by their eyes that they absolutely hate it. The next one is a bouncer. This is so useful because when your babies are young, they can't do anything, they can't crawl or anything like that, and they spend most of their time sleeping. Only now with my son becoming more alert, and he's nearly 5 weeks old on Tuesday. So honestly, I definitely would recommend that you get a bouncer, especially for your newborn baby, because you don't want to constantly be having them in your arms and not be able to do things and stuff like that. So definitely would recommend that you get one. Honestly, it is a lifesaver. You're able to do things and you can just bring him to wherever you are in them, and it really settles them. I know that mamas and papas and I think mother care and things like that do bouncers that move, and I definitely would recommend that you get that because babies love motion. They love to be moving, they love to be on the go, and if anything settles my son, it's moving. So whether that's in the pushchair, in the car, etc. He loves it. So if you can get a bouncer that moves around and things like that, definitely do that, because it'll save your life and upsettle your baby a lot easier. Although I do know all babies are different, but for my son it's definitely worked. The next one is muslins. It's much easier than putting a bib on them every 5 seconds. So what I do is I just put it under their chin here, and it's just much easier than having to put a bib on every 5 seconds. So definitely would recommend if you haven't got any of those. They're also really good for obviously when you're winding them on your shoulder. Just put it on your shoulder, because quite a few times I forgot to do that and he's been sick all over my shoulder. So do get yourself some muslin squares. Again, much easier than putting a bib on, because if your child is anything like mine, then he hates having bibs on. He screams because he's too hungry for me to put a bib on him. He's just like, give me the food, I just want the food. So the last one that I have on my list is dummy. This isn't for everybody, and to be honest, when I was pregnant it definitely wasn't something that I wanted. I thought, you know, a lot of babies are really hard to get off dummies, and I don't want to have a hard time getting mine off dummies. I wasn't against dummies at all, you know. I was like, if he needs a dummy, if it settles him, I'll give it him. And I think about a week after he was born, it was really hard to settle him, and he wouldn't settle. So we started to give him a dummy, and he was settling a lot more. And honestly, it's worked really well for us. So definitely do give it a try. No, if you're 100% against it, don't, obviously. But they are really useful when it comes to settling them, or if they just want a comfort. And it's a big indicator as if they're hungry as well, because if they full on try and suck the dummy, you know they're hungry. So that's another one to check out for. So that is it for this video. If you did like it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would be extremely grateful. If you have any video recommendations, please leave them in the comments below, because I love doing baby videos and I want to see what you guys want to see, so then I can create more exciting content for you guys. And I'll see you in my next video.